Josh, and if I'm not mistaken, this is like week, what, like 46? Week 46, coming up on a year. I'm going to have to plan something big. So thanks for joining me. Super excited to have you here. I've not had enough caffeine, not had enough coffee, but we're going to get going, and I'll just consume as much as I can while we hang out together. So grab your drink. If you're across the pond, maybe it's afternoon enough. Lee might be out there having something adult, but for me, coffee. Okay, anyhow, it's not the coffee show. It's the Domain to Profit show. I've never said the Domain to Profit show. Okay, anyhow. So here we talk about domain names that are available this week, and we look at how we can take those domains and turn them into businesses. So we will be pulling out, we'll be looking through expireddomains.net and deciding which domains are cool enough to talk about a business, which ones aren't. And all of these domains that we're going to be talking about, except for any of them that I use from our portfolio, are all available for you to purchase. So very cool things, because this is one show where we talk about business, but we also talk about domains and properties, basically, that you can buy. So you came to the right place if you're looking for opportunity. If you would, say hi in the chat. Let me know you're here. Take a moment to like that video and to subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to get going.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Walsh and get started right now.
I was laughing. I just saw that Lee indeed has his glass of vino in hand. And I am trying to, oh yeah. Okay, anyhow. So nice to have you, Lee. Thanks for joining us with whatever beverage it is that you are putting in hand. What you also need is an internet connection, because what we spend a lot of time here doing is looking over domain names. So you may not know this if you just found this random guy on the internet and are watching this video, but each week, like hundreds of thousands of domain names that others have registered, they expire. The original owner, just for whatever reason, lets them expire, whether by choice or they just forgot about them. Maybe they got locked out of their account. Who knows, whatever reason it might be, but the domain names that we're going to talk about today are going to be available for you to purchase. So they go through a period where you can buy them at auction first. And then if nobody buys them at auction, they do become available to where you can just go and register them. However, the ones we're going to talk about are going to be the ones that are valuable enough that they very much go to auction. In many cases, they go for hundreds, sometimes thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. We don't get too much into those crazy expensive ones. But let's get started. I'll show you exactly what we're talking about here, sharing out my screen. This is expireddomains.net, and this is the tool that we use. It's free. You can use it. Yours will not look, I have it set up for dark screen because I'm cool like that. I'm very trendy. And I use the dark version of it, but it's all the same data. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the filters we have set up. That is getting rid of hyphens, getting rid of numbers. And then down here, I am using 1 to 3 English words because we don't want to see a bunch of number garbage in our domains. And then I'm also only looking at domains auctions that are ending within the next 8 days. So that is between now and the end of next show. And then I go over to the additional tab here and add in only .coms. We're only looking for .com domains. That is what we are looking for. If you have questions on why we use those specific filters, feel free to ask them. Feel free to watch many of the weeks past where we talk about that as well. But these are going to give us the best opportunity to see out of these. You can see we still have 100,000 domain names to look through that meet that criteria. So that allows us to start to focus, and we're going to do that right now. So we're going to start off. These domains that we are showing here are GoDaddy expired domain names. We will also a lot of times maybe look over at Dropcatch see if there's any drop catch domains, as well as you can look under Snap Names pre-release, and there's a couple others. Basically, all the different places you can get a domain name from, they have auctions that you can look up. GoDaddy is kind of the main source nowadays, so that's where we spend a lot of our time. They have, as you can see, 100,000 some domains, 1 to 3 English words, .com, all ending within the next 8 days. So pretty big supply to look through. So what we do here is we order the domain names. They're ordered by valuation. That is what I use for GoDaddy's sort. The valuation is GoDaddy's appraisal. So they have an automated process that tries to estimate how much a domain name is worth. And we are sorting by that appraisal, which allows us to kind of get an idea of the best ones on top. So that way, if we get through 200, 400 domains, it's 200 to 400 of the best domain names that GoDaddy has appraised for us to offer. So each of these different columns of data represent different things. Sometimes we'll get into them, other times we won't. But we're just going to start going down the list right now. So the one that I have a couple of them that I've already pre-highlighted. Company info is one of them. Let me see. So I will click on them if I'm highlighting them, and then that will pull up GoDaddy. The reason why I do that is some of these domains that we show on the list will not actually come up for auction. If somebody renews it before the auction's final, or even sometimes even a couple days after the auction, that domain name will not actually be something you can claim. So in this case, you can see companyinfo.com ends in 7 days, currently $585. And the reason why I highlighted this one in particular was company info. Like, I'm a big fan of the idea of company info. Like every website out there, like a towing.com, which that's one of ours, as well as many of the other domain names in our portfolio, which we will talk about a little bit later. Hopefully you manage your portfolio in a way other than just printing them all off. But many of the domain names in our portfolio that we specifically concentrate on are domain names that list this right here, company info. So companyinfo.com could be a great way to build a website that replaces, Yellow Pages, yellowpages.com. Have you ever heard of Yellow Pages? Chances are, if you're like younger than 30, you have not heard of yellowpages.com or Yellow Pages. They used to be books that delivered that had a bunch of phone numbers and stuff in it. And companyinfo.com could be the internet replacement of it. You might say, well, what about Google? Google has company information on it. And to which I say, how about we have multiple sources of company information, because Google does not always have small businesses' best interests at heart. What, Drew Walsh? Did you just say that Google does not have companies' best interests at heart? That's correct. They don't. You know whose interests they have best interests in that heart? They have their own interests. They have their shareholders' interests in heart. So when you use Google, you are indeed not necessarily using the most optimal way to support small business, or you may be able to find company information there, but it may not be the best way to do it. So how about here on companyinfo.com, we create a great way to get company information and also do it in a way that maybe isn't such a parasite to small business. Maybe. Okay, so companyinfo.com, love it as a directory site, easy to roll off the tongue. If you're calling companies or doing campaigns, you'd be like, hey, I'm with companyinfo.com, and you can find us listed there. All of our information, links to our social profiles, links to our websites, FAQs, all kinds of different things. All the different things you'll find on a site, a directory type site like towing.com, you can find also on companyinfo.com. I will indeed be bidding on this one. In fact, let me see if I'm logged in enough to be able to click on that to bid right now. And it appears that I am not logged in. So I can't win them all. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and log in, because I think I have a couple of them here that I'm going to end up bidding on. Wouldn't it be nice if I could just click a button and quickly log in to GoDaddy? Unfortunately, that's not the case. It takes about 5 clicks for me to go through a bunch of different login screens, all of which I'm doing right now. So you can see the difficulty of logging into their stuff. But I'll pull this back up now. We'll go to company info once more. And I will put my click where my mouth or whatever is. And there we go. Drew's in on companyinfo.com. Already outbid. That's okay. That's okay. Let's keep on going on. Another one I pulled out of the list here. And as always, if you see one that you want me to talk about, I skip over quite a few of them. I look for specific domain names that I say validate the businesses that are on those domain names. We're looking for development projects that are rather easy, that already generically define what content you're going to find on that domain name. Any domain name can be used for development. The domain names that we focus on are domains that kind of define what you're going to find on it. So, for example, this one here, landscapecontractors.com. What do you expect to find on landscapecontractors.com? Maybe you expect to find a bunch of landscape contractors. Makes sense, right? And here's the beauty of it. Landscape contractors are going to work locally, maybe within a 100-mile radius or so of where they're located, meaning that if you were to look at all the different cities across the United States or across the globe, you can list numerous landscape contractors on the website. And if you were to list, just hypothetically, you were to find one landscape contractor in each of the top 300 cities in the United States, which just so happen to have a population of over 100,000 people, you would indeed have your first 300 customers, which here on this show we call the Local Legion 300, which landscape contractors is likely a very good opportunity to apply that. So I'm going to place a bid on that one. So what does it look like to apply the Local Legion and to build out a directory site? It looks like what we have on towing.com, which is a local search. You're searching, you're finding companies around that area, and they pay to be there they pay us to be there as a member. They pay us just a flat monthly fee. It is very much important to me that we're not charging per call, per click, a percentage of their business. We want the small businesses to thrive. That's why we do the things that we do already. So hopefully that works out. Let me just read. Hey, Michael, nice to have you here. See, thanks for joining us. I was going to harass you about being late, but I know I'm often late as well. So Matt is asking something here. Also, after you log in, it's not easy to get back to the auction you were viewing. Yes, that is correct. Like I've talked to GoDaddy. They're actually working quite significantly this year, they say, to improve this stuff. So fingers crossed, any day now we'll get some of these bugs and things taken care of. Regardless, there's a lot of good domains there, so we have to kind of deal with it. So landscape contractors, I did not mention when that expires. Hopefully you saw it on the screen. That ends in 6 days. So $150 right now. Expect that one to go up because it is kind of that perfect directory type domain. Although, as you can see, super long. I'd much rather have other domains, but if you're looking to be able to call into landscape contractors or landscapers and be like, hey, I'm with landscapecontractors.com. It sounds pretty good. It has that authority. It will validate the companies that are there. It makes sense that they're there. And, you know, if you're a landscape contractor, shouldn't you be on landscapecontractors.com? Makes sense to me. I've kind of hung my hat on that. That's very much the kind of domain that we've purchased over the last 15 years or so. Okay, so I am back to the list, heading on down. And many of these domains that we skip over fall into a category that I call, what do I call it? Brandable domains. So that means they're a domain name. Yeah, you can call your business any of these different domains. The only thing is they're not generic enough that if you were to develop them, like for example, TG, whatever the heck that's referring to. Might be a fun brand for your company, but if you call somebody and ask them to advertise on tg.com, the domain name, you might just want to leave that out of your sales pitch because it's nothing special. So healthyprofits.com. What did I just do? Okay, wrong way. Here we go. Realestateassociation.com. We mentioned that one last week. Transportation Group. That one might be a fun one to. It's very brandable. I'm guessing there's numerous companies that are called Transportation Group or work as a hub. Might be something there to aggregate those companies. I don't like them enough to really highlight them or anything here, though. I really like my domains to be 12 characters or less, kind of unofficially. You want them to be easy to spell, easy to type, easy to say. So here's another one that falls into that brandable. Classic Cleaners. Like, how many businesses out there are called Classic Cleaners? I'm guessing there's 50 to 100 companies in the U.S. that are called Classic Cleaners or somehow have that. So basically, you can have a directory of all the companies, all these little independent cleaners that call themselves Classic Cleaners, or you can just kind of ignore the brandable aspect, and possibly it's a strong enough domain to offer some authority to the people on it. I don't think so, though. I don't know. We haven't done a search engine tool yet. So let's go out to semrush.com, which is a tool that we pay for to look up some keyword information. So basically, how many people are searching for different keywords, and then how much are they paying to advertise there. Great information if you're trying to value a domain name. I'm just kind of curious as to if anyone's actually searching for Classic Cleaners. Yeah, it appears so. So before I dove into this domain, I would want to verify. So let me just show you around this page a little bit. It is saying that there's 3,600 exact searches, which you can verify down here. So Classic Cleaners has 3,600 searches for it. Kind of, my mind's blown a little bit on that. Classic Dry Cleaners, Classic Cleaners Near Me. I'm a little worried that Classic Cleaners is a brandable. A brand. By that I mean it may be a trademark. So, trademark. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and just search. Enough of just saying go check it out on the trademark, see if it's there. I'm going to go ahead and do a search. So this, I just basically Googled for a USPTO, which is United States Patent and Trademark Office. I'm going to search the test database here. It's that first button. I do a basic word mark. This is not all the disclaimers and stuff. This is not legal advice. If you're going to buy the domain name and build a big brand on it, you'll want to make sure that you do a better job than this. But so Classic Cleaners, there's one live trademark. So somebody does have it trademarked. It is a standard character mark, registered 2006. So it's pretty old. And then what you can do is, looks like it's mostly, so it must be a dry cleaner. So anyhow, so there is a trademark on the brand Classic Cleaners. It is a pretty strong trademark. However, what they describe here, what goods and services they offer, is referring to textiles. So they're saying that they are basically a laundromat. They do cleaning of curtains, of dry cleaning type things. So if you're keeping your trademark to cleaning services of other aspects, you could possibly still do business legally on the brand. Again, before you get too carried away, you'd want to consult a lawyer on that. Trademarks are expensive to protect. But either way, classiccleaners.com, Did we even click on that? Let's see. $255. Oh, this one ends in 27 minutes. Man, if I didn't already see that that is a trademark issue, it's going for pretty cheap. But I don't like trademarks. I've been down that road. I don't want to deal with that. So let me go over to the chat. Let me see what's happening over here. SEM is great. What's your minimum search traffic you look for? The funny thing is I actually say the amount of search traffic does not matter. I have domains that are significant search traffic that I consider a waste of my money. For example, videosoftware.com. I purchased that domain name for $20,000, and it was like 100% based on search engine searches of video software. And it was a disaster. Like, it's appraises at a couple $100,000. But I can tell you right now, if you want to buy the domain for what I paid for it, I would sell it right out today only. I always say that just in case I actually get an offer. Mention it. But keyword for that domain, keywords do not equate to value of a domain. It can. It's just if you only hang your hat on that, it's possibly a disaster. Some of my most valuable domain names are actually low volume domain names. So they have a couple thousand exact matches in niche industries, kind of like what we saw with Classic Cleaners. If that was not a trademark, and it was just really people searching for classic cleaners or people to do cleaning in a very basic way or something, in that case, that would be about perfect. Couple thousand, you can implement the local Legion 300 and find 300 customers, pay you 20 to 50 bucks a month, and you serve them well using that domain name, letting them use it and share it with them, and you go on to your next project. So now when you get into hundreds of thousands of searches and things like that, which we have on towing.com, a lot more has to go into the beginning of it. So let me see here. Okay. So hopefully that was a helpful kind of view of the SEM rush. So I do like, Edward, let me just say, I like seeing exact match searches and then high cost per click. So usually I like to see over 1,000 exact match searches, and then I like to see, a $2 or $3 cost per click. Those are right in the main area of our business model, I guess you can say. Let me, so I want to talk about portfolio management a little bit, but I told myself I'm going to get through 200 domain names, which is one screen of domains, before I do so. Tool sharing, fun, discounted prices. There's so many fun domains. What? Discombobulate? What? That's just a fun, nerdy domain. I don't know. How cool would it be just to be like, I own Discombobulate? What? I have no idea. Crystal's yelling in from the other room. Is it spelled right? I have no idea. I'm not going to look it up because I'm not. Just because it's a single word does not mean it's valuable. However, it could be fun. Reducedprice.com. Let me click on this real quick. Let me see what this is. I'm also going to type this into. I was worried today we wouldn't get many. We wouldn't have that many good domains to talk about, but I'm, 24 minutes into the show, and we are just knocking down some pretty big domains. So, reducedprice.com ends in 4 days, currently $45. And here's why I'm looking that up. There's 1.3. So exact searches, it's saying 1.3. It's not showing up down here though. So I am skeptical as to what they're referring to here. SEM Rush has changed their format a little bit here, so I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not. Usually they would show it right here on top. based on volume. So I'm not sure why it's not showing up there. I do like the domain name. It goes well with maybe you run a coupon type site. Maybe you do some kind of wholesale or liquidation type site. Reduceprice.com, great as a brand. And then also you can kind of aggregate all things reduced price. So think maybe overstock.com. Their whole model was this idea of when they have too much of the stuff, they need to sell it for cheap, use overstock.com, same kind of thing. Reduce when people are looking for clearance, when they're looking to move stuff at a reduced price, look reduceprice.com. Exact match domain name. It says exactly what to expect on that domain name. However, the volume, I worry the domain may not make sense. So it's worth a few $100, maybe even $900. I probably wouldn't get too carried away with it unless you're really into selling discount merchandise. Breakfastburrito.com. What? That's a good domain. It's a fun domain. I would never in a million years want to sell a food item through the internet. However, breakfast burrito, I don't know. That's pretty fun. Okay, that's pretty fun. So, I mean, just think about there's all kinds of brands probably already of breakfast burritos that are out there. You could probably sell their brands. You could have breakfast burrito recipes, all things. Again, the domain gives us that target topic. It gives us what it is that people are going to find in that domain. Now it's up to us, whether it's through content and monetizing that content through like a blog and advertising, or putting together a product directory to where you can find all these different breakfast burritos on this specific domain name, and then you either charge them to be listed there or charge them, per sale or something like that. But I'm a fan of breakfast burritos, so I'm kind of a fan of breakfastburritos.com. I'm going to place a bid because it's cheap. And as you can see, I'm getting outbid instantly on all these. So breakfastburrito.com, I would love it for, I could see that one going for a little over 1,000 even. It's very precise, something that let's search out I'm all over the place. Caffeine's kicking in. I think that's what's going on here. My brain is starting to roll. There's just so many good domains. I did not expect this, and I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. There we go. So I just said to Edward how the exact match didn't matter that much. So this is a good example of it, actually. So a lot of times what I talk about in my pricing strategies for a domain name is something along the lines of the exact match searches. So say, in this case, 135,000 searches for breakfast burrito. And look at the cost per click over here, $3. So if you were to just do a raw, mathematical function of what this could be worth, it could literally be worth 300,000. I would say bullshit. It is not worth that. And the reason why that is, and if you watch the show, one, it divides its value between breakfast burrito divides its value with breakfast burritos. So instantly you're going to divide it in pretty much half. One will get more value than the other. But then also the question is what's the idea that somebody's paying $3 for the keyword breakfast burritos? I also kind of call bull crap on that. Let's find out. So what I did here is I just did a Google search for breakfast burrito. And if you look, there's no ads at the top. You think Google's just super nice and they're just like, oh, we're not going to show ads at the top this time? No, bullshit. They are 100% money hungry. And if they could show an ad up there to make some money, they would do it. But the fact of the matter is, looking through this, there's no ad showing up. So even though SEMrush, and this is why we always have to check our data, even though SEMrush says that there's 135,000 searches and people are paying $3 per click, invalid. That data does not matter. Like, people may be searching for it 100-some thousand times a month, but there is nobody paying $3 per click. And if there is, It is only in specific areas, and it does not. The full 135,000 searches are not getting $3 per click, if that makes sense. So there may be a small portion of them that are getting $3 per click, but you're not going to get it. Long story short, though, seeing 135,000 searches, this domain name is certainly a four-figure domain name, even though it's a little long, even though it's a little hard to spell. $1,200 would be an easy price on that. May go for more. It's certainly a buy from old Drew. I'm going to give it a star here. That, and I just like breakfast burritos. So, any other breakfast burritos lovers out there? Maybe. Food karma goes right along with it. Have I ever been excited about a domain as much as what I was about breakfastburritos.com or breakfastburrito.com? I don't think I have. I think that might have been the most excited I've ever been. Price contractors, is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing. That sounds like a made-up term, which is why we have to. What was the name of it? Price. So one of the warnings that I often give out on domain names is two great words put together do not mean that it's going to make a good domain name. And this is exact case of that. Two domains sound like they could go together. It's not a real thing. 10 search volume, no cost per click. Nobody really putting price contractors down here. Certainly a pass on the old pricecontractors.com. Am I hungry? Yes, I am. This is my mom. So everybody say hi to my mom. But yes, I am indeed hungry. Evidently, I already finished my lunch. But breakfast burritos always sound good. Swim with dolphins? Swimwithdolphins.com, sweetie. Okay. Man, we just can't get through the first page. This is the most domains I think I've seen in quite some time. Wow. Okay, is this spelled right? What's going on here? Why is this still a $12 bid? So as somebody who travels quite often, and as the owner of tourguides.com and several other travel domains that I absolutely love, I can tell you that swimming with the dolphins is certainly something that people love to do. And as you just heard it out of my mouth, you'll see it in the data. It is not swim with the dolphins. It is swimming with the dolphins. So this is one of those cases where swimming with the dolphins is actually what gets 18,000 searches. Swim with dolphins is a keyword that could generate traffic. See over here in the questions, especially, where can you swim with dolphins and things like that. Still a good domain name if you're looking, if you're in a place that has dolphin swimming. Where can you do it? Sounds like people are looking for a website that can show you places that they can swim with dolphins. Boom, directory. That's exactly, you're answering the question, where can I swim with dolphins? Hey, we just so happen to own swimwithdolphins.com and show you all the different places that you can swim with dolphins spread around the Caribbean and southern, all the different, anyhow. They pay either a small fee or a commission to book. Voila, swimwithdolphins.com is now the place to go to find out a place where you can swim with dolphins. And for $12, I'm adding that to my list for sure. As I often say, when I join an auction, it's basically me joining the auction. Any high volume that I would do as far as bidding would always be towards the end, unless it's just kind of a keeping it honest type bid, which is a thing I do where I see a domain, I know it's probably going to go for a good amount, but I'm a little worried it's going to fly into the radar. And if it's going to go for cheap, I want it to go to me for cheap. And in that case, with like Swim with Dolphins, I may end up putting like a bid for like 188 on it because it's worth $188, but it might fly into the radars, under the radar, if If I don't do it, anyhow, does that make sense? I want to make sure that you get great deals on these domains, but I don't want to give them away. I want them to be worth something. They are worth something. I want to make sure they get the value that they're worth. Okay, 35 minutes in, one page down, and we're just now getting to where we are, to where I can take a break, to where I can take a breath. So hopefully you found some good domain names in that list. Lots of great domains for various different business models, many of which are the directories, local searches, where you can do exactly what it is that we do on towing.com, which is we take a domain name and we do a local search. You can find company info on the domains, as well as they can answer frequently asked questions and things like that. We talk about our business model quite a bit on past episodes. We'll talk about it a little bit here now as we talk about developing and managing your domain portfolio, which, depending on how many domains you have, my goodness, it gets carried away, doesn't it? It gets so we are in the process of going through our domain portfolio. We're developing a product that I will kind of announce at some point in the future. I've talked about it a little bit, just the idea of, here's the gist of the product. A service that will let you turn a domain name into a business, a directory type business pretty quickly, to where instead of being a day-to-day business developer, you can instead just run the business instead of worrying about developing it. All that to say, we've always bought domain names to develop them. If you've ever tried to sell me a domain name, which I have people bring me great domain names and they're like, hey, would you be interested in this domain name? And I'm like, that is a freaking great domain, great price. The only thing is I can't value it at that amount because we would not develop it. Domains are made to be developed. Domains are made to bring value to the small businesses, especially that they represent in those industry. I believe it wholeheartedly and passionately, which is why we take towing.com and we use that domain name as well as 30 other towing related domain names, and we share them with all the different members, all the thousands of towing companies that decide to join as members. They pay a small monthly fee, and now we use all these domain names and some technology to bring them value and to let them use these domains so they don't have to go buy $1 million worth of domain names. Instead, they can just become a member, kind of like domain timeshare. So I have a list here of, let me see, we've been going through our domain. It's 7 pages. It's not numbered, so I can't tell you how many. It's like, I think it's about 800 domains. We've thinned it out quite a bit. Okay, well, my wife says it's 20-some pages, and they're all of our domains, and we're trying to start to organize them around the central themes of business that we do. So what are your central themes when you buy a domain name? Do you have criteria that you use? For us, it has to be a domain name that we can develop. And if we're going to pay like a premium, it has to be a domain name that we can develop using a towing.com type business model. So when we went out and spent 6 figures on djs.com, it was because we could, put we can apply what we've learned from towing.com and put it right on djs.com. Same with when we paid 5 figures for photobooths.com and all the heavy money domains that we've purchased. It's because we believe we can take what we've learned from towing.com and apply it to that domain. Now, I will tell you that I pass on a lot of great domain names because they don't apply to that business model. I wish I could just tell you some of them. I won't, out of to be discreet for the sellers, but in many cases, the domain names that they're selling are worth the amount that they're asking. Like if I was buying it for investment, I would buy it right now. It would just be an easy decision, like $8,000 for a one word fun domain. It does not apply to what we do here though, which is develop generic domains in a kind of an obvious way to bring value to the visitors. So I'm forced to put kind of our money, our time where our mouth is. And we've had to develop a criteria of what kind of domain names we'll buy. We look for domains that are that ideally are local. So we have local service domains, which are like a towing.com, which actually, let me share out the screen. Let me show you a little around towing.com and kind of reveal a little of how we make our money. Oh, breakfast burritos. Oh, man. Okay, so here's towing.com, the homepage as it is currently. When you are doing a local search here, these members that show up here pay us a monthly fee, pretty much like $60 to $99 per month, depending on how many people are in their area. But it's a flat monthly fee. So in that case, that's what I call our local business model. They are local service providers. And now, so they work in a local area, and then they pay us a monthly fee. We share our domain names out with them: towing.com, towingcompany.com, roadsideservice.com, heavyduty.com, all kinds of great domain names, all kind of towing specific. We share them all with the companies that work locally. Now on here though, we have a page called long distance towing. So this brings us into a different business model, and you may be familiar with this page here. This is actually the page that we used to break even on towing.com when we purchased it in 2007. This page alone generated a few $1,000s, which was our loan payment when we bought towing.com. So this page, though, is a national page. So you can either do the local model, which you see on the homepage, or national. National is a lot of times what happens with services that ship. If you ship a physical product, that is a national type of site. In this case, these are vehicle transport companies. So they will ship a vehicle nationwide, anywhere in the United States. So you can't just say, show me the Columbus, Ohio auto transport companies, because any company out there, any of the thousands of auto transporters could ship a vehicle from, say, Columbus to Dallas, Texas. You don't need one based in Dallas or Columbus. So how do you organize national data? Well, that's kind of what we started to do here. And you can see that we have these companies listed here. They pay a monthly fee higher than the local to be listed here. So we have local domains. Our domains get divided up into local, also national. Another national domain that we have, I'm looking at in my portfolio, is cartransport.com, building on that same type of thing. It's a national directory. How do we do that? Well, we're still figuring out the national part. We're very good. We're very good at the local services. On the national piece, you max out between 8 to 12 companies on a national directory. So this is the same struggle that Google has. How do they determine who shows up like on the ads? Well, Google has an option available to them. It's whoever pays the most. Makes sense. The only thing is whoever pays the most is not necessarily the most relevant, may not be the best one to show up there, may not be in the best interest of the consumer, certainly not in the best interest of the business if they have to pay some ridiculous percentage of their business to show up there. Maybe not as big of a deal for national companies. Local companies, they just eat too much into their revenue. But anyhow, so how do you discern? But anyhow, we always look for service-based businesses. We prefer local, sometimes look at long distance. So the reason why I'm telling you this is by knowing the criteria of what we want to develop, we can now keep our eyes open for domains that fall into these categories. If you allow yourself to look through expireddomains.net at all these different domains, and you just are like a kid in a candy store, the next thing you know, you're going to be owing owning breakfastburrito.com for $3,000, and you're going to be like, what the hell am I going to do with this domain name? We'll sell breakfast burritos, and it's going to sit on the bottom of your portfolio forever. How do you determine when it's time to develop out breakfastburrito.com? Chances are you're already working on a project. Hopefully you are. Are you? Currently, you got something going on? Hopefully you have something. Hopefully you're staying true to your primary project and that you are systemizing it, getting it, capped to where you can move to your next thing before you move on. Because if you're like me, especially over years past, bounce between a bunch of different things and nothing ever gets done. And I always wonder why nothing's growing or making money. And it turns out that you actually have to concentrate on one thing at a time. Who knew? So develop your list of criteria for what domains you're going to purchase. Make sure you're spending your money in those areas. In our case, we primarily develop domains. Therefore, we only buy domains we plan on developing. We do make some exceptions because, there's the company that develops them. And then there's me, which I'm a domain nerd. So, I certainly dabble in some investment as well, but it certainly doesn't get the high price. If you want to sell me a 6-figure domain name, it has to be in our wheelhouse. So what's your wheelhouse? What kind of domain and project are you looking for? Know that before you ever open expired domains. What kind of arena? Like I look especially for, even before I knew what kind of domain or what kind of development we wanted to do, I was looking for transportation related domains. And then eventually, after a little bit of success with some of our other sites, I started to look for travel domains, mostly just because I was interested in travel. I wanted to enter that arena, so I started to look for travel domains. Have criteria set out. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a domain portfolio, hundreds of domains that you love them all, but you don't know where to start. And if that is you, if you currently have hundreds or even thousands of domain names, and you look over them all and you love them all, pick one and develop it. Bring value to that one domain name. And if you're like me and you're like, but I still love all the other ones, well, hopefully a service that we're creating that I kind of talked about a little bit, that I'll talk more about in future weeks, will allow you to quickly develop out your portfolio. It's where instead of trying to make your money off reselling a domain name, you are looking to develop it. Development is better. It's better. Anyhow, I'm preaching to the, if you're watching this, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but development is so much better. There's the idea of just buying domains to sell them. It sounds like work. I don't like to work. I love to work. I just want to work on the right things. Okay. Las Vegas Blackjack. It's a long domain name. So as you can see, I'm diving back into the domain names. Drew rant over. Drew sharing over. I want to get back, try to get through another couple hundred domains because, man, we've rolled through that first 200. A lot of great opportunities happening this week. And hopefully you've liked this video. Maybe you even shared it out unless you like so many of these domains that you don't want others to know about it. But I always do appreciate you sharing and letting others know about Domain to Profit. So LasVegasBlackjack.com ends in 4 days. Currently only $12. Here's what I'm thinking with LasVegasBlackjack.com. So the fact that it is Las Vegas Blackjack makes me think there has to be a Vegas tie. I was thinking, how fun would it be? Now, this gets into a little bit of chaos, but what if you, instead of did like digital computer-generated blackjack, you did like a live cast of a Las Vegas blackjack dealer, and you pay an entrance and you get to sit at the table and they do actual cards instead of, so you have a camera that shows you your cards. You have a camera that shows you the overall table. In Las Vegas Blackjack, is literally a dealer in Vegas that you are gambling with. I think it'd be a fun service to go to. I don't know about developing it though. That sounds like a lot of work, a lot of video work and stuff. I don't do much with video, but if I did, doing a Zoom out to a Las Vegas blackjack table sounds like a very unique opportunity. So many different laws and stuff like that you'd have to deal with. Although they're laxing, things are getting better to where you will be able to possibly do this. But for now, it's just a dream. That's what I would do with it. It could be fun. Could be a disaster. Okay, back to the domains. Let me zoom in so you can actually see what I'm doing here. Let us pay. I love it. Puns are bad in domain names, just so you know. Puns are not good. So Matt, you're saying that is a real thing. I'm not sure if you're talking about the Vegas table thing, but that I could definitely see that being a real thing. Like, if it's a real thing, then LasVegasBlackjack.com sounds like a good place to do it. I'm still cracking up about Let Us Pay. Like I said, though, puns do not work for domain names. Live fitting. It sounds like a unique kind of domain name. I mean, live fitting. Okay. Well, so my thought on this one, we bought bartenders. This might be a little more information than what anybody cares to know, but we bought bartenders.com. And it turns out that a typo of bartenders is brawl tenders, like ladies' brassiers, whatever. I don't. What are they? Over the shoulder boulder holders. Yeah. So we actually, in our catch-all email, we had noticed that a couple people had emailed like, hey, do you still do live fittings? Basically, I guess it's some kind of like Zoom call that they do. Anyhow, so live fittings is a thing. Doing a live fitting is a thing. So where maybe you do a Zoom call or whatever else, and they can see how clothes fit or something like that. So there's definitely a service around this. Rather than taking Drew's advice on it, let's check it out. See, this is kind of what I was thinking. Like, nobody is there's no keyword searches for it though. So it might be before its time is what it comes down to. This domain name, in fact, I'll go ahead and put a $12 bid on it. Live fitting is going to be an online retail type thing. So, for example, me clicking that, this is not for development. I will never build a live fitting platform, but I want to toss in a bid mostly because it's going to be something. There is a path that this domain is going to matter, and I would much rather me own it than somebody else, so I can get it in the hand of a developer, or at least sell the thing for so many people that want to sell domains for $100,000 or $1 million when it's like, it's a freaking 5-figure domain name at best, and it needs to be developed. Get it off your damn shelf and do something with it to benefit the world. Just my opinion, but quality certification. So as you can see, things need to be developed. Domains need to be developed. I kick myself most days when I look over my portfolio, see all the domains that I have, and I just desperately want them all to be developed. I don't look to sell. I will sell them to somebody that wants to develop them, but in most cases, I will not even look. If you're just buying it for investment, nope, you're not buying it. I'm not selling it to somebody that just wants to set it on some damn shelf. Okay, best business franchise. Nope. And if you see something that I am skipping, feel free to shout it out. via the keyboard into the chat. If you see something that you have a question about, you can always also, if you're watching this on Restream, toss it into the comments. We do read them, although a little late. We don't read them all that quick. So buymytruck.com, I like the action of that. Let's see. So buymytruck.com. It says buymytruck.com, so people going there are saying like buy my truck. Could be a commercial vehicle thing where they're like, hey, I got my semi truck and I want somebody to buy it from me, want to liquidate it possibly. Whatever it is, you can guess that the domain name has something to do with buying and selling trucks. Maybe people are looking to sell and they're kind of like, hey, buy my truck, make me an offer I can't refuse. Could be a fun truck for sale type domain. I actually see this quite a bit with equipment for sale. People kind of saying like, hey, I'm open to selling this. Anybody want to make an offer or something? When you're talking about commercial vehicles especially, it makes a little bit of sense. Buymytruck.com ends in, again, $12. I'm going to bid just basically that's me adding it to my waiting list. I'll check it out. I like it a little bit, but not a lot. Hopefully the business model I mentioned on that makes sense. You can do some fun stuff with it. And we also, part of it is we do have some features on, Tony.com actually, to buy and sell equipment. So that domain name might go along with that. When you buy and sell physical products, especially like from individuals, it follows the local model, that idea that like that truck's going to be sitting in one location. So location matters. Now, when you sell a product, like for example, Peter Askew, he sells onions. He's the onion man. In that case, they're shipping from one place, but he can ship them anywhere in the United States. So location doesn't necessarily matter. The product does. I love location when it matters. We want location to matter. And we are. Matt was looking up the Las Vegas blackjack, and it turns out that there are a lot of them out there doing that, which that might actually be a good thing. That might mean that there's affiliate programs or some kind of like cheap option to make a little revenue off of the domain name. It also possibly means that the domain name could have, it could be like blacklisted or something. Somebody might have already developed it and spammed or something with it. So there's a chance that that's a toxic domain. I would try to look it up a little bit before I go and spend too much money on it. The fact that it's Las Vegas blackjack, I'd prefer Vegas blackjack anyways. Yeah, and so here you go. Here's the important part of that. They all have crap domains. Exactly. Domains matter. So maybe like one of you investors possibly can buy it and then sell it to them, I guess. As long as it brings value to the world and doesn't sit on your freaking inventory for 25 years. Okay. Domains could have changed the world. Instead, they all sit there and now we all go to Google to find stuff instead of just going to domains. And we're all worse off for it. You laughing at me? Wife's laughing at me. I'm going to drag her butt onto this video. She's going to be like my co-star as of some point. She's saying that it's pretty obvious that I kind of have a problem with the fact that so many domains are not meant to develop. Domains are made to be developed. Okay, we are 2 pages through. It's also exactly an hour into the show, which is when I like to say, that's enough. It's enough. Drew's done his part. I don't know what that is. I was trying to do something. It didn't make sense. Okay. So we are going to wrap up this week's. I'm going to look up to get exactly how many weeks that we've been doing this. I just count on being here at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like every single week. And sometimes it's an hour. Sometimes it's like last week, it was 10 minutes, me on my couch with my daughter climbing all over me. Some have said it's the best episode we've had so far. It was a lot of fun, a little bit of stress, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we just bring it. All we do is bring domains. Hopefully we've got some great information for you. Develop those domain names, peeps. Let's make this happen. Have a great week. I will see you next week. Take care.